Mike, I was going to ask, you obviously made the transition in the offseason to bring in some new coaches. You brought Gus here for this event. What was that process like? I mean, how much vetting did you have to do for Gus? I mean, when it came to bringing him aboard, and when did those discussions maybe begin, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, obviously anytime you make change, it's it's a process of one, making change because of whatever reason that you feel it is it's what's best for the program, and then the replacement, making sure that all things moving forward that is something that the players, coaches, the program as a whole is going to be able to benefit from, and that you're going to see an immediate result, as well as for what you believe that the long term of those decisions are going to be. And with Gus, I mean, it's, when you talk about my coaching career, it's basically, it's a lifetime, of, I guess my second year of coaching is when I worked with him, and I love the man. I was a graduate assistant for him. Really didn't know him before that, but he gave me opportunity, and even worked with him side by side for 2 years. I was in the lowest job responsibility, but I was able to earn his respect in that time, and we had a lifetime of staying in touch, cheering for each other. We would collaborate and visit in off seasons and all those things, but for him and being able to have some just baseline conversations. I mean, it's the head coaching role. I mean, there's a lot that comes to it, and I mean, he's done it at an elite level, throughout his career. And as college football continues to change, this position can get further and further away from some of the things that maybe we started off being able to do or having time to do. And that guy, he's a football coach, and he loves calling offense. He loves being able to pour into his players, and be able to kind of have that day-to-day interaction. And it's what the Lord blessed him. I mean, he's one of the most innovative minds in the game. And being able to provide an opportunity for him to come do what he loves, somebody that I trust at an elite level. And I mean, you can feel his energy. And I mean, since he's we're a couple months into this, doing it together, and just seeing it, being able to be back on a field with him, to be able to hear him talking to players in the meeting rooms, things that you can feel just his passion, for the opportunity. And it's been exciting. And so I didn't really need a whole lot of vetting. We had some real life conversations of what we wanted to look like. What on his end, things that were important, on my end, things that are important, how we could collaborate and and be able to put together what we want to be the best offense in college football. And we've been a part of it together. We've been a part of it both separately throughout our years, and so we feel like it's got a great opportunity ahead. And he's happy, I'm happy, and just excited for what's in front.
Did you reach out to him? Was that how the conversation began, or did he reach out to you?
It was actually, we would usually talk throughout the season at different times. We both had the same bye week, so it was kind of one of those things. I called him. That was not necessarily the initial purpose of the call, but it was one of those things that, just in conversation, got to, just kind of talk through, possibilities of where he was, things that, his day, what his day-to-day looked like, and something that probably sparked my thought process, because sometimes you just don't know. I mean, he just be real. I mean, he walked away from a lot to come and to be a part of what we're doing. And, it's hard because he loves, the thing about Coach Malzahn, he loves who he does it with, whether it's players, coaches. I mean, he puts his heart into it, and it's a tough decision when you're in that role. Make a decision to leave, and but I mean, he's helped so many coaches with new opportunities and trying to help make sure they're all taken care of in that regards. And so I mean, there was a spark of conversation and really my thought process, and it just all came together.
You mentioned at the clinic that this team was going to play with a desperation this season, and maybe didn't play with the type of edge you thought they could last year. How do you get a team to play with the type of desperation that
Yeah, I mean,
desire?
it's team, it's individual, it's coach. It's not, we get one shot, and you get one shot at a playing career. You get one shot at a season, a team. You get one shot at a coaching career. And so what are you willing to give to be what you can? And so when I say desperation, it is. It is that edge. It's like, are you willing to put it all out there? Are you willing to keep that why in the forefront of your mind? I mean, there's a lot of distractions in college football. There's a lot of distractions, with all things for an 18 to 22-year-old, for a 43-year-old. There's plenty of it. And so, but I want that edge. I want guys that are willing to put everything that they have into the opportunity to be the best that they can be. And, I think we've seen that example in guys before that that have been on the big stage, that have had all the attention, that have benefited from, what this game can provide, but they show up desperate to be the best and desperate to get the job done and for it to look a certain way. And that's what we're going to get back to. And, it takes every person, but really what we can control is ourselves. And, I want that edge. And I do believe you can recruit it, and I believe you can develop it, and you definitely have to be able to help hold each other accountable to living it. And that's my focus.
Is there anything, like as you do reflection on the past year, like what you can do to help bring the edge out in the team, whether it's self-reflection, whether it's looking at the team? I guess, how do you go?
Yeah, I mean, it's we just have to be accountable to it. And, there's things that, in my job that I can do better, and making sure that, connecting, right now we're sitting in February. We just started, we're 1 month into our winter program. I mean, there's a lot of work that's already gone into the first month. But, we have, 11, 12 months in front of us to be all that we can, as a football team. And there's going to be good days and bad days, great plays and plays that we all are going to want back. And, but being able to help, push and press, whether it's the response to a good or to a bad, whether it's the accountability to make sure we're putting everything we have to that standard of accomplishing, that task that we have in front of us. That's what I need to make sure that I can meet the needs for our players and that for our coaches, and making sure that we're all accountable to that standard. And but it's not a speech that you're going to give in January or even one you're going to give in August. It's a daily application of that. We've had a team that I've been a head coach now 9 years, and there were times last year, it was really the first time since I've been a head coach, where we would play, and it wasn't like guys weren't trying, but there wasn't that edge that I've become accustomed to. All my teams really have, and it is it's something we have to get back to, and I didn't do a good enough job of almost forcing that edge to be there. And it's and, obviously we all have to be responsible to it. And there's been change. There's been change on staff. There's been change with players. There's been change with guys that we've brought in, and I'm really excited about it. But I have, especially with we have 31 newcomers that joined the program in January. We got a bunch of guys another handful of guys that will be coming in the summer, and that was absolutely something I was looking for. And I think there's times that you can get caught up by potential and talent, but you got to make sure that the mentality is right. And I want the mentality. And like I said, it is something that you can develop. It is something that you can build. But you also I want guys that are desperate to go be what they desire. And that's been a big part of this team. Whether it's guys coming back, I was very transparent with them. And there was no chasing this offseason. There was none of that. It was, you're going to be a part of this, pouring everything that you have into it, or you're not. And it's I like the mindset of which our guys have started, but all the talk between now and, to be honest with you, until August 30th is not going to matter. And I do have a high expectation for what this team's going to be able to do. I'm excited about the work that I'm seeing, but we got to live it every day. And, that's the part of the process of pouring in and growing and just continuing to push to be our best.
And Coach, how important is right now towards building towards it? You mentioned all new players coming in, but how important is this time right now to build towards that first game against Alabama?
Oh, I mean, it's every day matters, and as we get a chance to be on this journey, it's the only thing we have guaranteed is today. And for our players, it's what are you doing with the opportunities in front of you? Are you taking a step towards improvement, being the best you can be? Are you willing to push yourself? And for me, I'm trying to create discomfort. I'm trying to create, whether it's through workouts, whether it's through the reinforcement of standard and expectation. I want to see you guys face the challenge and to show and to have an opportunity for a team to make a choice, because at the end of the day, I'm never going to get to step across the white line and to play any play this upcoming season. But we've got to have players that are the spark, are the leaders that and I know I said it a year ago, and throughout my career, what is leadership? It's leadership of the guys that are going to be able to pour everything they have into it, but in the moment of truth, they're the ones that are going to step up and step out and go make the play. Because they trust their training, because they believe in the guys they get to do it with, that they answer the call in that moment. So that's what we're trying to create within this team. And I've never been a part of a team around players that don't say the right things. Everybody says the right things. It's just hard when the moment of truth hits. Are you going to trust all of that and be willing to give all of it to go make the play in that moment? And so that's what we're trying to reinforce. That's what we're trying to build. And obviously, it's a long process as you're working to August. But all we got is today. So it's either yes or no. We're doing that today or we're not. And so it's kind of our daily focus.
Leadership was something that maybe lacked a little bit last year, and it seems like a focus with the guys that you brought into the portal. Like a bunch of guys were captains at their old teams. A lot of them said in newcomer interviews that Thomas Castellanos has kind of been emerging as that. Have you seen that? And who else is kind of starting to emerge as a leader in workouts? Yeah,
I mean, it's we're all a work in progress when it comes to that. But I feel. And what I like is, we went through January and, Friday afternoons, we ended the week together and, tried to create some challenging situations for guys to see who would rise up, to hear what voices, but not even the voices, what actions were going to happen, in those moments. And I think, Tommy's great, as he's come in. What I've loved is seeing his investment in teammates, his investment in others. Like Luke Pettibone's a guy that's also kind of standing out. Mike, like those guys are they're coming into a program, and yes, we know that there's limited time that they're going to be a part of Florida State. It's going to be a year, but what if it's everything that you have right in this team? Well, every year you only get 1 year. Right? I don't care if you're a freshman. This is the only 2025 football team you're going to get. What do you want to give for this team? And so, as long as we get that type of investment, it's you'll see those leaders emerge. But it's great. I mean, I've been really pleased. You got Roy Del Williams, I think, has really done a really nice job. I feel his his investment in it. And you look at last year. I mean, we faced some unfortunate injuries with guys. Roy Del missed so much of it. Jalen Lucas missed so much. Richie Leonard. I mean, guys that had come in that now get another opportunity. And I mean, you feel. I mean, to say buy-in, you feel their passion for this team. You feel the investment. Earl Little's a guy that I've really been pleased with. I mean, we got a bunch of our young DBs that I think are, got a chance to be really special players. And I mean, it's just the daily buy-in and approach. I mean, our linebacker group has got some wonderful leaders in it. Darrell Jackson. I mean, I thought, you guys weren't there, but like yesterday's workout for Darrell Jackson, I grabbed him afterwards and I just told him how much I respected his work. I mean, he came in and, this is a guy that, I mean, we'll see what Josh Farmer's doing, and Josh, I think, is just going to put himself in a great position to be a top draft pick. And Darrell made the choice to come back, and he knows what he's fighting for. He knows what he wants this year to be for a team, for an individual. And yesterday, we found some challenging moments for him, and his leadership was extraordinary. Didn't say a whole lot of words, but I mean his action and just his response. And like when you have, it's easy to spot 6'6", 330, but when you see a guy in a very difficult situation to what he's being asked to do, maybe because of others at times, and I mean it was such a perfect moment for our team. And I grabbed him afterwards, like, man, that is what's going to make you the best defensive lineman in the country because of the response then. And so when you have those situations that you try to create, that's. Anybody can stand in front of a team and give a quick speech, right? But I mean, those are the things that we need to see in the moment. And when you have those top players that are embracing that moment where it's not always good for them, but they're getting to show how to respond to it. I mean, that can really do wonders.
How's the roster management and the big picture of now you go to 105? You've added some guys here in February. Just how difficult is the managing of the new faces and everything that's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of levels that you work through when it comes to the roster, and I'm excited about the team we've been able to put together. There were certain things that we knew that we needed that I think we've addressed. You talk about you look at the transfers that have come in. I mean, a year ago, there was guys that came in that I think had great potential, and whether it was guys that we recruited early and that we're still working through their process to kind of show what they can do. And I think a couple of those guys are going to be great players for us this next year. But this year, if we brought in a transfer, there's a couple guys that maybe haven't done as much and have multiple years eligibility. I'm so excited about what that's going to be. But we feel like we've addressed the needs in position rooms. We've addressed the needs, maybe big picture as a whole to be complementary pieces. We've got some great young players that I think are really on the verge of taking a huge step, but being able to surround them with guys that have done it and have been productive, that might have a little bit of a chip or an edge to them as well. I mean, I like how that gets to come together, and then you look not just college football is, it's year to year. I mean, you sit there and see teams that didn't have a very good record last year. That some more playing in the playoffs this year. I mean, guys that are competing for championships, and you can do a lot throughout the course of a year, in good or bad. And ultimately, it's about making sure that you set yourself up for what this season can be. But also, I'm looking at the long term of it as well, and I think we're well positioned for short term and long term for what it can be.
Like, how did rev share play into the dynamic this year in terms of you had a bigger pot of money knowing what was coming, but you have to figure out how you're using that for retention, portal, high school. How did that make things different? Oh,
it's definitely all a part of the conversation. And for us, it's a short term, long term part of it. And as things are progressing to April, from when it all officially goes through, you've got you got to plan for it in a lot of different ways. And so, yeah, it's definitely a part of some of the decisions that are made of, what you're going to do, and then maybe what you're willing to do, and sometimes what you're willing to say no to. And that's as much now as ever before. You got to be able to look at resources, and as it comes together, where what that's going to look like universally, just prioritizing, the position, what you're looking at, just in disbursement among a roster, all that planning is going to impact every decision. So it's you definitely played a lot.
Mike, I know you guys the spring game is not on the table a little bit, but there's been some talk from people about the idea of not hosting spring games, maybe because of afraid to have other schools check out their players and want to try to maybe there could be tampering and things like that. As a coach, do you worry about those kind of things? And when you look at the big picture about, not wanting to put your best players out there like for a spring game or any opportunities that would cause schools to maybe go after them?
Yeah, for the tampering conversation, who knows? It's not, that's all. Anytime you talk to the media and you say something good about a player, I guess that could be presenting opportunity,
Exactly.
So, which I've thought about that too. So it's like, you sit there, and, it's, when it comes to spring games, I think as much as anything, there's teams can change so much, and you look at teams from year in to year out. I would assume that you're going to see less and less spring games just because of that part of it. Because you can go play a spring game and put whatever information you want out there, and that's going to help somebody that you're playing against. And even if it's just seeing the look of a personnel, or because I don't want to get to a point. I mean, you only get 15 days, and I don't want to spend a day that's not as productive. What I love about spring games is the fact that you get to see players that maybe have never done it before in front of a crowd, and that is I would say the only reason to do that for a spring game now is for that, to get to see guys, how they respond when the lights are on, and there's a lot of guys, that's the most people they've ever played in front of. Yes, there's a preview of what a team might look like, but once again, it always matters what's going to run out there on August 30th, and for a team fan base. But I do think that there's probably more reasons why not to than maybe why to do it. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a choice that every coach has to make. But I don't go into it as much about the tampering, or I think it's all part of it.
Would you like to see the spring calendar change a little bit? There's been some talk of going more NFL kind of model. Where
I think it really depends. There's a lot of other layered decisions that I think would affect that. Are we gonna maintain multiple transfer portal windows? When is a roster going to look set? Or is there if there's going to be times where it's like for us, we start spring the spring semester so early. Yeah. So when you're getting if you're bringing mid-year kids, because right now that's everything's transfers at mid-year. We have 15 either high school or junior college players are starting at mid-year, not transfers. And so you're bringing in I think we have 7 or 8 high school kids that will be coming in the summer. So less than a third, or I guess the overall number of what that's going to be. So, in looking at that, when you start that early, making sure that those guys have enough time to be able to train, to be able to do the things necessary. If you could have a little bit more freedom in how you kind of break that up, I think there's some absolute benefits of that. I would be open to it, but it's I think there's a lot of more big picture decisions that I would need to know the answers to say, well, this is how we're going to do it. I mean, spring ball is spring ball. You think about injuries. You think about, if somebody does go down, how quick can you get them back? So, but also on the flip side of it, making sure you know what your team is. And as much work as you can put in for what your expectation of what your team's going to look like there in the fall, I think matters. And so if you could break that up in some respect, I think it would be positive.
You talked about the freshmen coming in that didn't early enroll. We didn't get to talk to you about Usman Kroma back on signing day. How big of a get was that, and just what do you think of him overall, and how that kind of come to be? I guess I don't know how I'm wording the question.
It's a 4 year process. There's not one player. I mean, I've said this. I told Usmani this. There's not a player that I watched more in my coaching career, live than him. I mean, I was at his freshman year. I went to they were playing Lowndes, and really didn't know much about him. I mean, I came out on the field. I saw that there was a freshman starting at running back. He was 6'1", 200 pounds at the time, and 215 yards later, I left the field. I said, I don't know anything about it. We're going to figure it out, and we're offering him on Monday. I mean, but I mean, I watched him in basketball. I mean, I love the young man, and it was it's a process that I think David Johnson did a remarkable job in building a relationship with him, with the family. I mean, it was a staff-wide effort of just relationship opportunity. To be able to get him was big. Coming off, especially the season that we're coming off. I mean, it's somebody that's believing in what's ahead rather than what just happened, and believing he's going to be able to come in and be a spark, be a difference maker in that. And it was as big of a signing as I think as we've had since we've been here. And, he's still got to go do it. And then, obviously I'm excited to get him here this summer, but, he's everything that you want. I mean, you go watch his film, and he's a special player with the ball in his hands. I think his best clips are what you see the selflessness, the team, the mentality he brings when he doesn't have the ball in his hands is remarkable. So, I mean, he's a real one.